Was ist das? How to Michelin-Inspektor stay secret? Bin gespannt.
Guys produce
Können wir ein bisschen Englisch? Ich hoffe. Ich mache trotzdem deutsche Untertitel an.
by major tire manufacturers, the Michelin Guide is easily in the top 3. Awarding 1 star, 2 stars, or even the coveted more than 2 stars to restaurants around the world, the Michelin Guide is the #1 food recommendation source for the tens of people who can afford to eat at the restaurants the rest of us watch documentaries about. But how do they figure out what food tastes the best to eat with your mouth? Well, that's the job of Michelin inspectors. There are 2 main types of
Was? Es gibt Tester für Sportgeschäfte, die sagen immer das Gleiche. Vielleicht habt ihr die richtigen Eröffnungsworte verwendet. Das war das Erste, was ich gefragt habe. Ich habe gefragt, welche Soßen hausgemacht sind. Ob das Fleisch im eigenen im Laden selbst gewolft wird. Ich habe gefragt, woher der Spargel ist. Also, wo der geerntet wurde. Weiß nicht, die normalen Fragen halt. Nichts Besonderes.
professional eaters, food critics and Joey Chestnut, and both types are generally known to the public. For example, here's Pete Wells, the head food critic for the New York Times. Here's Tom Sietsema, the Washington Post's food critic.
Jungs, Alter, ihr geht ins Restaurant und ihr fragt nicht, ob die das Hackfleisch selber wolfen oder nicht. Was ist los, Alter? Du gehst doch nicht in ein Restaurant rein, um, keine Ahnung, Rewe-Hack zu essen, sondern du gehst ins fucking Restaurant rein, weil du quasi irgendwas essen möchtest, was vielleicht möglicherweise nicht direkt so, oder, nein, du gehst ins Restaurant rein, damit du was isst, wo quasi Köche oder andere Leute, die in der Küche arbeiten, quasi einen Rohstoff genommen haben, der qualitativ hochwertig ist und den mit Arbeitsqualität oder mit Arbeitskraft sozusagen zu etwas gemacht haben, was quasi besser ist als alles, was ich kaufen kann als im Supermarkt, oder? Das ist der Grund, warum ich essen gehe. Für was essen, was besser ist als das, was ich in meiner Pfanne da drüben machen kann. Weil ich könnte zum Beispiel, deswegen habe ich auch kein Steak gegessen, sondern einen Burger-Chat, weil einen Burger kann ich hier schlecht zu Hause machen, aber ein Steak kann ich hier easy braten. Also warum soll ich ein Steak für 30 Euro kaufen?
And here are the unwashed, uncultured masses who write for Yelp. But what sets the Michelin Guide apart, other than the fact that its mascot looks like a D-list Spider-Man villain, is that, like Spider-Man, nobody knows the Michelin inspectors' true identities. Also like Spider-Man, if their real names are discovered, everyone they love will be brutally murdered by a mechanical octopus.
Michelin-Inspektoren gehen in Restaurants auf Undercover. Also quasi, wenn du Restaurantbesitzer bist, musst du permanent Panik haben, dass Leute bei dir reinkommen und Sachen über dich schreiben.
Naturally.
Wie war der Burger von 1 bis 10? Mir hat der Burger gut gefallen. Die strukturelle Integrität des Burgers war leider nicht so ganz gegeben, deswegen musste ich den mit Messer und Gabel essen. War aber trotzdem sehr lecker. Und also ich sag mal so, das Burger Patty war tatsächlich selbst gewolft. Also es war wirklich gutes Fleisch. Das hat Spaß gemacht.
There isn't a ton of information out there about Michelin inspectors, but by reading the rare interviews they've given over the years, the 2004 book L'Inspecteur se met à table, written by a rogue inspector, and using archive.org to look at Michelin's now-defunct website, famouslyanonymous.com, that's mostly just broken Adobe Flash videos, I was able to piece together enough information to distract you from the work you're supposed to be doing for the next 4 minutes. So, there are about 90 Michelin inspectors around the world.
90? Das ist ja so gut wie keine.
15 are in France, 10 are in the United States, and the other 65 are spread amongst these 21 cities and countries. All Michelin
Das heißt, so ungefähr 3 Leute oder so sind Michelin-Inspektoren in Deutschland.
inspectors must have a degree in either hospitality, hotel management, or cooking, plus at least 5 years of experience in their field. But despite what ChrisAngelUniversity.net promised me, a degree doesn't necessarily mean you get the job. When Michelin first recruited inspectors for their New York Guide,
Mein Gott, ist das ein ekliges Werbevideo hier. Warum lachen die sich blöd an?
only 0.2% of applicants successfully became Michelin inspectors.
Whoa.
After interviews and testimonials with senior inspectors, trainees go through a 6-month program in France, a second training session in a different European country, and an apprenticeship in their region as they're trained to judge restaurants based on Michelin's 5 criteria: quality of products, personality of chef reflected in dining experience,
Ist deswegen der Chef zu mir gekommen, um zu zeigen, wie gut der Typ drauf ist? Und wie nett er ist? Oh mein Gott, Chat, was passiert hier?
value for money, consistency between visits, and most importantly, do it taste yummy in your tummy, which they call mastery of flavor and cooking technique.
Chat, ich habe was Neues für mich gefunden, Alter. Ab jetzt cosplay ich fucking Restaurantkritiker mit meinem Homie Alex. Dude.
Now, the core of how Michelin inspectors stay under the radar is relatively simple.
Ich bin sehr gespannt, Alter.
They eat at a restaurant, and they make sure, and this is key, not to tell anyone that they're a Michelin inspector. Tables are always booked under a fake name, and beforehand, the inspector does a research to figure out what to wear to blend in, and will sometimes even bring a decoy date to avoid suspicion if it's a restaurant mainly frequented by couples. In existing interviews, several inspectors specifically use the word chameleon when explaining how they're trained to act in a restaurant. Basically, they're quiet, blend into the background, and mostly eat locusts and mantids. While most inspectors tell their spouse, Michelin advises them not to tell friends and even parents, who Michelin worries may be prone to boast about how their kid secretly eats potatoes for a tire company. One inspector said if she's asked, she just tells people she works in publishing. Even most top executives at Michelin, including the Michelin man himself, have never met an inspector. But let's say you really want to catch an inspector, either because you're a restaurateur or because you just like ruining things. There are a number of clues to look for. First, at the restaurant, the inspector will always order the maximum number of courses offered. Typically,
What?
that's an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert.
Ich habe kein Dessert bestellt, Chat. Ich habe kein Dessert
They're
bestellt.
required to finish everything on their plate, or in the case of really annoying restaurants, finish everything on their weird levitating pillow thingy. It's up to the inspectors what they order, but they tend to pick dishes that can, quote, test a number of quality ingredients, with particular focus on any dish considered the chef's specialty. Michelin inspectors apparently never order salads or soups, as they're seen as too simple. Because the tables are always booked under a fake name, when the time comes to pony up, some waiters
Ich habe noch nie drüber nachgedacht, in ein Restaurant zu gehen und einen Fake-Namen zu benutzen, nur so nebenbei, Chat.
will check the
Ist ja nicht so, als wenn die deinen Personalausweis kontrollieren, ne?
name on the credit card against the reservation name. A
Ah.
mismatch means they're either a Michelin inspector or they're committing credit card fraud. Another thing to keep an eye out
Oh, wow. Ja, die hatten keine Kartenzahlung. Keiner funny übrigens, dass ihr es direkt entdeckt habt oder gecheckt habt.
for is notes. Notes are often frantically scribbled in the bathroom, although
Aber ja, jetzt wo ich drüber nachdenke, Alex hat auch Spaß gefragt, ob er mit der Kreditkarte bezahlen kann. Oh boy. Was passiert hier?
now that doom scrolling is an established part of table etiquette, inspectors will sometimes take notes on their phone when waiters are away, and occasionally even snap poorly framed pictures of rigatoni for the Michelin
Ich habe auch Fotos gemacht von allen Essen, was ich bekommen habe. Aber für Insta.
Guy's Twitter feed. If for some reason you're so committed to uncovering Michelin inspectors,
Yo, check meine Insta-Story-Chat, da ist das Essen zu sehen, nur so nebenbei. Nee, warte, ich zeige euch das kurz. Damit ihr mir wirklich glaubt, dass ich was gegessen habe. Ist es noch drin? Ich weiß gar nicht. Naja, scheiße, schon gelöscht. Egal, da war auf jeden Fall gestern Essen drin.
that you don't mind some light stalking, you may glean insight from where they're staying and how often they're going out. Inspectors typically travel 3 weeks out of every month, staying in a different hotel every night, as the guide also recommends accommodations, and eating a full meal at 2 restaurants a day. And if you're really trying to lure inspectors in, you have 2 additional options. Make the food much better or much worse. While restaurants set to stay at the same rating typically get only 1 visit every 12 to 18 months, any restaurant poised to either gain or lose a star gets visited by 2 additional inspectors in order to confirm the change is deserved. Everything is then hashed out in the yearly star meetings before the year's guide is, finally, published, and the inspectors can start working off the pounds with their Michelin-paid gym memberships.
What the fuck? Das ist ein Traumjob.
So how is it that when you try to make something nice, you end up with this, while the Michelin-starred restaurants make this? Well, notwithstanding a few minor factors that aren't convenient for this ad read, it's because of the equipment they use. Specifically, in the case of 3 Michelin-star restaurant Le Bernardin, it's because they use made-in cookware. They sent me a few of their pots and pans, and wow, I clearly had no idea
Ist das hier fucking Advertisement, bro?
what good cookware was before this. The heat is distributed evenly, the weight is just perfect, and the non-stick pan is the most non-sticky of any I've ever plastic in my cabinet.
Fuck you. Deswegen ist es wichtig, dass wir in Deutschland leben, Chat, wo oben links oder oben rechts Werbung steht, damit wir so einen Scheiß nicht für länger angucken, als wir müssen.